Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to Burning Questions, the most popular digital show in the history of the Australasian racing industry. I hear about it everywhere I go. I go a fair few places. It's late at night. Maybe I'm talking to myself. No, I think some people do like the show. They do come up to me and say, we love Burning Questions. Can we get involved? And I'm like, no, you can't. It's for the elite people. And the elite people today, Andy Gath, the only other regular on the show today. How are you, Andrew?
I'm good, thanks, J-Bon.
You've gone with Ralph Lauren. Is Hugo Boss okay with that, or will he get jealous?
Yeah, no, just trying to get a major sponsorship deal going forward, so just putting the pressure on.
Candy sponsored by Ralph Lauren Polo. We've got Nathan. Jack, how are you, brother? Have you got your breeder's crown hoodie on? I wear one of those sometimes.
Yeah, I certainly do, Damon. I'm not chasing sponsors like Andy.
And now we can hear you nice and clear. And Tim O'Connor stepping in for Nikita Ross. This is a dark time to try and step in. This is not an easy program, and these questions are not easy. Toc, are you ready to roll?
Ready to roll, mate. Up from the twos. You said it was a hard show to get on. I don't know about that. I can't vouch for that. I was pretty easily subbed in there. But anyway, we pick up where Skeet left off, and I've subbed in. She was quick to tell me she's on a bit of a heater, though. 2 best bets home in her last 2 starts. So hopefully I can make it 3 on the trot for us.
What's $1.30 into $1.40? What's that? No, Skeet has been doing very well. She's in for line. Don't worry about that. And I just saw, Toc, before we get into the questions, Nims here from SEN just showed me where you're doing Trots Talk from the other day, and you've already lost one of those machines, and you're out in inclement weather, and you've just got it in the side of the car with the door open.
Yeah,
be careful out there, mate. Are you looking after things or what?
Yeah, Sydney was a pretty devastating trip for a number of reasons, but yeah, losing a significant piece of equipment wasn't. We didn't make the 9.5-hour trip home, Bon, all that pleasurable. But, yeah, she's tucked away in the car. We're all good.
We'll start with you, Andy. We're here for hip pocket workwear and safety, protective equipment, glasses, hats. They do lots of stuff. And you want your people to look their best, shoveling, that whole thing. We love them, hip pocket workwear. Right, that's our sponsor. Now, question 1, burning questions. Will the Candyman park Treachery again, or knowing how good she is, will he relent the front to Treachery? What are you thinking, Andrew?
Yeah, I think he's got to let Treachery go. She sort of dominated moments like these last start, and her run since then has been, full of merit again, and she's going as good as any mare's sort of going in Australia at the moment. So I'm sure he'll be looking to, get her back and hand up to her.
Tell us, Nathan, does I'm Often Gone have any deeply hidden, closeted gate speed that we don't know about?
I'm not too sure on that one, Jason, but I'm the same as Andy. I think Greg will probably just hand up to the other one, and she's going to be mighty hard to beat. She's in fine form, and like Andy said, she's going as good as any of them at the moment, that's for sure.
Are you and Dean looking, we know how good I'm Often Gone is, but are you and Dean looking at the race and just saying this is another step towards other things? Because 17:20, all that gate speed, you don't ever give up on winning a race, but it's going to be awfully hard. It looks like, at least.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't spoken to Dean about it just yet, but if Treachery was to be parked, well, then I think it'd be a different race. But I think Treachery will probably just work her way to the front, and it's going to be near on impossible to beat her. What
are you thinking here, Toc? I know that Wombat Toby McKinnon ran a little poll, and I can't believe anybody answered anything else other than Treachery. But anyway, I think she's a moral to find the front. I think the lesson's been learned with moments like these. But do you have a different opinion?
No, I don't. I think Greg will let her go. Probably, even if it, I think there's probably a couple of reasons, but I think from a race perspective, it probably serves him better to have a crack at her on the sprint lane. And also, she's going to Queensland. I don't think he wants another one of those burning, gut-busting races again like he had last time, and it didn't work. So, things can change on the spot. If he rolls to the, looks to go to the pegs early and Treachery doesn't get away properly, or even Eva Mateo, I'd love to get your thoughts on her gate speed, Bond. She held Treachery in the early part last week. I'd be just interested to see whether Kez throws a bit of a spanner in the works, but I think Treachery will find the front. Greg will hand up and head to Queensland with a horse ready to tackle the big features up there.
Well, I think one very smart man on Burning Questions was the only one who predicted that moments like these could hold Treachery, and Evan Mateo and other ones previously. I think it was Treachery on that occasion. But Andy, take a bow. We spoke during the week, and you've told me before I don't feel I get enough credit when I get things right. You're more than happy to hammer me when I get them wrong, but drawn right next door, I've now learnt my lesson. Evan Mateo's got no hope of getting past moments like these, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I don't think so. Moments like these have got terrific gate speed, and yeah, it's going to be up to Greg who he wants to give, hand up the lead or not, and I'm sure he's going to hand up to Treachery.
Are you feeling the love now, Andy? You feeling better?
Yeah, a little bit. A bit more towards the end of the show wouldn't hurt as well.
I'll try and space it out. Just little compliments, little gifts. Can DK's David Kennedy's Invaders? This is question 2. Strike success on foreign soil, and if yes, who is primed to land the lethal blow? We spoke to Jackson Painting, I think one of your old mates, Nathan, on the radio today, and he was very charismatic. We found out in his first anniversary last weekend to his beautiful wife, Prue, he decided to go out all night. So a man after my own heart, but he's going to have to do something special. He's very confident with a number of runners. I tend to think Rock and Roll Runner is the only one with a big chance of winning, and I do think he will win, Nathan.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, he's a mate of mine, but he must have lost his the wedding invitation in the mail, Javon, so it didn't get there. But yeah, Rock and Roll Runner, I know they've got a big opinion of that one. And I think if he finds a front or sort of gets a good trip, he'll be really hard to beat. I was at Wagga when he won the Group 1, and he just kept running great sectionals, and then probably just took the edge off him a bit for the next week. But big drop back in grade from racing in Group 1s back to this race.
No, it's based on his, and he might not have even turned up to the wedding anyway himself. Maybe they just did the ceremony and they got somebody to step in as a bit of a proxy. Jackson Painting. What are your thoughts here, Toc?
Yeah, look, I don't think he'll strike a blow in the first 3. Baby It's Cold, Brados Lad, and Delightful Angel. I think they're just going to find a couple better in their races. All horses going well, but just running into probably a touch better opposition. At least some of the horses in those fields. Rock and Roll Runner, I think. I agree with you. I was calling it Rock and Roll Runner until I listened to the replays before, but Rock and Roll Runner looks the best chance.
Runner was more likely than Runner. You looked at it and went, Rune is the way to go here.
Yeah, I'm not a very good journalist, am I? Anyway, hopefully I'm a better form analyst. But yeah, Rock and Roll Runner looks to go to me. I think I agree with you, Bon. I think we'll be able to win. Definitely David's best chance, and I think it's a really good hope of winning. And as Nathan said, dropping back from Group 1 company, it looks. I think it strikes the better of those 2 heats as well, Bonnet. It's probably an easier heat than the first one, which the stablemate tackles. So I think he'll pick up 1 win, and that wouldn't be a bad night at the office, I don't reckon.
What's Jack's like? What is he like at doing his interstate form normally, Nathan? Because he was pretty bullish about a lot of them, and he thought that Brado's Lad could lead race 5 on the card, and I just started to suspect maybe he hadn't gone through a few Victorian replays, but is he normally pretty good?
I wouldn't lack any confidence, that's for sure, Javon.
I reckon, Javon, one of the things I've noticed, I get asked all the time. They say, "I know you work for Harness Race Victoria. You'd get tips all the time, wouldn't you?" I said, "Yeah, you get too many." People don't look at the other horses in the field quite often. They say theirs is going really well, but there's about 6 others that can knock them off, I think.
Aside from Andy Gath, let me tell you,
yeah.
Trainers and drivers generally are the worst tipsters going around. They're even worse than me, and that's saying something.
You're a grab, Javon.
Andy, what are your thoughts here? I think Rock and Roll Runner's the one to beat in his race, but I honestly can't see the others probably winning.
No, they're not. They're going to be up against it. Again, they're all going well. Little question mark on Rock and Roll Runner's last run. He probably didn't go quite as good. So a little bit of question mark on that, but obviously they wouldn't be travelling all the way down from Wagga, just to see Nathan anyway. So, yeah, Rock and Roll Runner's probably the best of them. Again, he's a quality trainer. David Kennedy. He's always got some nice horses in his camp, and he does a really good job and always driven well too. So, but of the 4 of them, it's the one obviously that's got the best winning chance.
All right, we are here for hip pocket workwear and safety. Now, I get sick of sounding like a broken record, but heading into I don't really happy to himself, but going into the third question of the burning questions, Nathan, the start of nearly every race on Saturday night is totally critical, and particularly for that fast class with the 4-year-olds turning up. Which horse leads the fast class contest and will Better Eclipse them regardless? Now, you've got a really significant role to play with Spring in his step. I'm thinking Cherokee Joe's going to get across Rock and Roll do at the start. Then Mick's going to want to get off an effective retake. But you might be there to shut the gate on him. What are the thoughts here?
Yeah, I sort of thought Cherokee Joe would probably get across him as well. If he doesn't, well, then I think it's game over. Don't think there's any way they can beat Mick's horse if he finds a front myself. But, yeah, if Cherokee Joe can get across and then it's a completely different race, especially if one can follow him and close the gap, then I think it's going to be a really good race. But probably sort of then it plays into Greg's hands better than anyone or myself if I can be the first one there. But I think it's going to be a really good race. But I think the first 100 metres is going to be crucial.
So, but are you going to charge out with the anticipation that the Cherokee Joe gets across so that you can be there, Johnny, on the spot to shut the gate if you have to?
I'm going to have to be ready for it, Jason. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to anticipate that happening and then be ready to get in reverse straight away if it doesn't happen. I'd like to think so.
And if you got the front, what happens then?
I'd be keeping the front.
Well, we got through all the answers. Thanks very much for playing Burning Questions. Thanks for playing hard. Your thoughts here, Andy? I tended to think, as mentioned, that Cherokee Joe will get across. It just depends. I'll tell you what the fly in the ointment is here. We don't know Better Eclipse's gate speed. Does Greg even have a little crack here at trying to get across a lot?
Yeah, I think Greg will be a little bit conservative with the horse. Again, they've spaced his trials and looking after him and, got Queensland in mind. So they wouldn't want to have a gut buster before they head up to there. So I reckon he'll go back on Better Eclipse. Last time Cherokee Joe led in a 3-4 race, it actually held the lead. So might not be any lead there for you, Nate. But I'm sure you have a little decent crack. But for whatever, I don't know why. It's never shown gate speed before. Has gone rough most times when it's left the gate. But I just think Mick will chance his arm with Rock and Roll Do and, see if he can actually leave the gate pretty quick and hold the front. So I reckon he might hold up and hold the lead. And if he does, I think he'd be the one to beat. We're
getting a bigger Andy Gath today. Have you got a different device? Are you holding it close? Is it sitting in a different place on the steering wheel? What's going on?
No, it's all the same. I don't know. I haven't changed anything, J-Bond. I don't like to upset you.
You got very good skin for a man in the early fifth decade of life, I believe. But the skin's looking good now that I'm looking at you up close. I tended to think that the retake would happen, that Cherokee Joe gets across and Rock and Roll Do still is good enough to find the front, but not immediately. Toc, give us your thoughts. You'd get the inside word from Michael R. Stanley.
Well, I was actually out there early in the week picking up something that I'd left out there, and we had a brief chat, and I said, the big clash this week between you and Greg. He said, it's not a clash, mate. That's how confident he is. I think we didn't talk about who's going to lead or how it's going to pan out, but I'm a bit like Andy. I think he'll just do enough Rock and Roll Do. Mick's as good as anyone as getting a horse off the gate. He goes forward all the time. I just think I've never heard him spruik a horse as much as he spruiked this one. He's got a massive opinion of it. He wants to get into the rising sun. I think he'll just do enough to lead. I reckon I can just see him digging up and holding the top. And the other point I'd like to make as well, I guess, Rack 'em Up Tiger Pie's drawn 8-2. I know that, it's not a stable mate at the moment. I know it's not team driving or anything, but it's it gives, it's just probably a beneficial as well. And he's not going to run past him in the run home either. So I think Mick will do enough to hold the top, and I think he'll win. It's a great race, though.
You've been overtaken, I reckon, Nathan, in the bullishness stakes during your sabbatical. This is fantastic. We've got a Chariots of Fire winner here, and it's just a non-event. You're gonna have to lift your game again, Nathan, if you want to be in the top rank, sort of letting everyone know stakes. You understand that, don't you?
Okay, Joe, I'll keep it in mind.
Maybe just win races. It's up to you, or you can let them know beforehand. Question 4. We're here for hip pocket workwear and safety. Is Petracca? Go to you first again, Nathan. Is Petracca on another level to his rivals? Even knowing Aureus might be something a little bit special. I think she's very good, but what we saw from Petracca before he went from a break was just crazy.
Yeah, I think Greg's filly's a really nice filly, but I think Petracca's just in a league of his own at the moment against the ones that we've seen. I think sort of probably won't matter what happens. He should just be able to bully his way to the front and go from there.
Have you chatted with Emery Clayton? I couldn't find a trial for Petracca. Not that I'd worry about it with that camp, but have they sort of said to you, or has Danny said to you that it's clearly the highest rated juvenile in their camp?
I think that's the word from their camp at the minute, but I haven't heard from them. But I don't know if they've actually said that to Danny, but I know that they're extremely happy with him through Danny and expected him to run a really good race, that's for sure. And they didn't need a trial. I know he must be pretty forward because there was thoughts of running him a couple of weeks ago and they didn't. So if there was thoughts of running him then, he'll be pretty much Mickey Mouse this week.
Is he just an absolute lock-in job, Andy, or not?
Yeah, no, I think, Greg and Jess's filly's a great filly and she's getting better all the time, but hasn't really showed any gate speed yet. And I just think Nathan will just find the top and, give something for the Melbourne supporters who haven't had anything for over the last 3 weeks. Give them something. So, he's the 2-year-old I've seen so far this season. I think, he'll be winning on Saturday night.
The Demons were beaten by an outstanding outfit on Monday, though.
And the week before that too, another outstanding outfit.
I reckon the Bombers are a sniff.
Melbourne beating themselves up.
Yeah, the Bombers, I don't know. Yeah. When do they play North? Toc, what are your thoughts here? I think we've already been told, haven't we?
Yeah, I can't add much more. I agree with all that. Petracca will go to the front, win. Aureus will run second. Danny Zavitsanos also owns Oliver Dan, which is, I just found out, was named after Clayton Oliver. So you got a couple of Melbourne. If there's a knockout chance for the Melbourne supporters, maybe Oliver Dan.
Oliver Dan is the accumulator, and Petracca is the big bull. But as a horse, he's not a big bull at all, is he, Nathan?
He's only a little fella. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll get. It doesn't matter as long as he's fast. Best bets now for hip pocket workwear and safety. We'll start with you, Toc. You've got so we're adding whatever you do to this extraordinary season 2 run from Nikita Skeeter Ross. So take this responsibility, this privilege, with esteem, and try and get it right. Who have you got?
Well, in true Nikita style, I'm allowed to go Petracca on her. No, I won't do that. I'll go. Sorry, Skeet. Don't listen to that part of it.
Treachery?
I think they'll all win. But race 7, number 1 for me. Rock and roll do. I think he'll hold the top, and from there he'll throw his head around. He'll do some silly things, but I think he'll win pretty well.
Nate, before we get to your best bet, I wanted to ask about your other runners as well. Like, how many other winners do you think you've got on the night? I think Rebel Stoke is got a huge amount of ability, but he's like some of the rest of us. She's got a screw loose, probably half a screw loose as well.
Yeah, I think she's been. I've only driven her a couple of times at the trials, but she's quite pleasant to drive. I think she's a really good chance. She's got unbelievable speed. If she can sort of get any luck and be close enough to them at the sort of 250 or 300, they'll have trouble holding her out from what I've seen.
I try and make sure with humans that I can work out the he's from the she's. Occasionally I get it wrong with the horses, Nathan, but that's okay. What's your best bet on the card, brother?
I like Jeremy Wells each way in the first.
Right. Where are you going to be?
Drawn out the back, so I'm going to have to rely on a bit of luck, but we've changed his work. I think it's worked well with him. He seems to be working well. I just think he'll run on good late.
Andy? Thomas Heights he'll just lead him in that race, I reckon, based on his Mildura. Well, anyway, is your best, Thomas Heights?
No, well, I've been putting the kiss of death on nearly every horse the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
you've got plenty of credits in the bank, Andy. Don't be like that.
So I don't want to ruin any of my horses' chances. I was going to tip one against my horses, and I didn't think that was very fair. But sorry, Nathan, but Lochinvar Jag. I just think he's been racing against older horses and really finding the line really good, and I think it's a big drop down in class. So Lochinvar Jag for me.
Are you with that, Nate?
Yeah, I'd agree with Andy. It's a massive drop back from 3-year-olds going back to sort of racing the older ones going back to 3-year-olds. So he's going to appreciate that. There's a couple in it that can go a bit, but I think he's the best horse in the race, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, based on some of my tips here, I might not get many winners on Saturday night. But I'm going out anyway. Right. Don't start, Nathan. Hold that. That's been Burning Creek. My best is Rock and Roll Runner. I try to find something at, better than $1.40 or $1.50. I don't know what Rock and Roll Runner will turn up, but I think it is the one to beat. Do you want to have one final jab there before we leave, Nate, or are you going to play nice?
That'll do me, mate.
What else can I compliment Andy with? Skin's good. You got me. Skin's good.
Yeah.
Still plenty of it there.
Majestuoso, you sorted him out from last start?
No, he seems really well. He seems good. Again, sometimes when they tie up, it's just out of the blue, one of those things. But we'll probably put a few precautions in place so it never happens again. So I'm sure you'll see the best version of Majestuoso on Saturday night.
The best version of Majestuoso will be winning. Toc, it's been a great performance by you. Hopefully you found a winner to keep Skeeter's run going. What's the rest of your week like? You'll be going to the Horse of the Year Awards as well on Sunday night?
Yeah, going to the Horse of the Year Awards Sunday at the showgrounds. We're even going to book a room down there. We might let the hair down on Sunday night, Bon. So if you're interested, mate, I know you don't like a drink, but maybe this once we could catch up and have a couple of quiet ones afterwards.
If anybody wants to rub shoulders with Tim O'Connor, you know where we'll be on Sunday night. I'd say the big house, probably. Well done to everyone involved, Andy Gath, Nathan, Jack, and Tim O'Connor. That's been Burning Questions, and if you didn't like it, there's something wrong with you.